Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Chronogo bringing you another Cosmonarchy cast here in the good, glorious morning, and Aud64 is taking on Martyr's ground. Aud64, the Blood, Ascosi, of course, in the top left, going for the Radix Open, and going for a Larvosk first. I am curious about how long it will take to scale up the tech tree in this particular game, and how they will match Aud64's typical moves here, because I actually haven't seen Aud play AVZ in a little while. He's actually been moonlighting a little bit as Terran, but of course everybody knows that is a Zerg player, and so you're never going to be guessing which race is playing. Alright, I can't do that anymore. That's Grass Eater, if you didn't know. I should have done the whole cast that way, but I wanted to see how long it would take for me to get annoyed about it, and it took a little bit longer than I thought, but that's okay. Also, I think this color is really, really nice on Zerg, isn't it? Isn't Snow, I believe? Snow Zerg, yeah. So, Blood versus Snow. Don't get any red on the Snow there. It will actually be a Gauntlet rush here, one Radix Gauntlet. So we will be seeing Vickers early on, something that Aud is very likely to prioritize here, is getting that splash damage out. We've seen him mass Vickers against, Krankendow's Terran even, and trade somewhat efficiently sometimes, and other times not so much. So I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen with all that. But while we wait for this game to start heating up with the modded fourth race into it, because, of course this game is basically a spin-off game inside Starcraft 1's engine. I was about to say inside Cosmonarchy's engine. Well, Cosmonarchy's engine is Starcraft's engine for now. But, while we wait for this game to heat up, I'll just remind you guys that you too can become a Cosmonarch. Cosmonarchy.com. You want to download our game or check out any of our epic little race, tech tree maps and such. You can see all these units and read up on them if you want. It's sort of like a wiki for the game. And you can even see the relation, how they work together. Now, that missionary overstayed its welcome for sure, because it took a few too many steps in and then got surrounded by quads hatching. So Aud is going to lose that first unit there. Now, if you did read the wiki, you would know that the missionary has a couple of interesting quirks about it. So the first thing about it is that it has impact dissipation. This is an ability that many Ascosi units have. I was going to say all Ascosi units, all kinds of Ascosi units have. Basically, when they take damage initially, they will block the next attack, or you can do what Aud just did and preload the block, which is now visualized with this nice sickly green overlay that indicates that the first attack to hit them is going to give them movement speed and not be taken damage from. Now, the one little quirk about this is that a lot of what the Zerg is going to be building at this stage of the game is actually going to be ranged units like the Quas, and the Quas actually do double attack. So their first attack is absorbed, but the second attack isn't. So anytime you have think of it like the Goliath shooting up, right? Even if you're a Starcraft 1 head, you know that about that being two missiles. Well, the same thing is sort of true for the Quas. It has two hits there. But nonetheless, I mean, the Vickers themselves are pretty powerful units. Not only can they preload the block like Aud did just now with his missionaries, but they're also quite capable of dealing a lot of splash damage. So their initial hit is going to debuff the enemy by slowing it. And if it dies or just enough time passes during that hit, during that debuff, they will eventually detonate to deal 10 damage in an area. And 10 doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that this is an on-hit ability that the Vicar just dishes out. So, keeping that in mind, the landlock is almost done being power built by the Ascosi. This is one of their features here, that they can power build and make their structures be made faster. Typically, their structures are cheaper than other races, but take a lot longer to build. And so this is a way to conditionally offset that, or to try to greed and just be like, well, no, I'm not going to spend most of my workers on that prospect. I'm just going to go ahead and build with one worker, eat the whole time cost of it, and then go from there. So we'll see how that one takes shape for Aud and how his balancing works out. Grass Eater is going to go ahead and take his own natural at around the same time. We know that we're on a Shambler map because the minerals are split up by the gas. This is actually really bad for mineral efficiency and should generally be avoided. Even still, Martyr's Ground technically passes into the tournament-ready stuff, but don't be surprised if I ask Shambler for permission to tidy up the resource fields before it actually shows up in a tournament or a Class 1 pool or whatever. Just because I do think that this is actually really bad for mineral efficiency. Well, I know that it's bad for mineral efficiency, but I also think that it's aesthetically displeasing. That's my 2 cents there. The Skozi army is starting to be seen moving out. It's kind of a piece of trivia here, but this Zeth has been scouting the landlocked the entire time. It just hasn't been revealed. We have some Nathracors coming in. One problem with the Vicars as an option for air defense here is that the Nats are going to stick to the Pilgrims, of course, but the Vicars are going to deal friendly splash damage, or I guess ally unsafe splash damage. And so Grass is not actually microing his units right now, so he's not getting any worker kills. He's just going to lose all of his Nathracors in a rather unfortunate time, but well, I guess only one half, but still, that was pretty bad. He could have killed many workers and then forced Aoud into an uncomfortable position where his only anti-air was the Vicar. Then he has to do friendly splash damage to his Pilgrims, and that could have done a lot more damage. So Grass really missing out on an opportunity there. Mimic is also a detector here, and it's now out thanks to the fact that the Cypher has been built. We have the Tier 2 biotic production coming up online here for the Skozi, so their prosceniums are coming. And that's where you're going to get things like the Aphoris to deal with even more splash damage to the Zerg army. But it looks like Grass Eater's already starting to apply the usual tech planning that we see here. Got some Vorvacors out to try to get into melee range against the Vicars. And you also have some Lakes here. Now, the Mimics are here for a couple of reasons. So one of them is that they mimic the attack of anybody who is allied to them and is shooting around. But they also are a detector, as mentioned. So the Lakes are a little bit more vulnerable to them as a result of that. We're going to have to wait and see about the state of play here, because I think this is going to tell me a lot about how these kinds of engagements can go. I don't really feel like Grass has done a terribly good job of keeping himself safe in this situation. Look, the army's actually chasing his, but he sent most of his units on a bit of a wild goose chase trying to chase down a single missionary to 6 o'clock. But now we're going to get into what maybe will be a really good surround for the Zerg. Let's see this engagement coming in from multiple fronts. We do have the Quas trying to get a little bit of a leg on, and the Vorvs also coming in to get into friendly fire range. All of those Vicars going to start doing friendly splash damage, and here comes some Zoryus as well, a very important unit for the Zerg arsenal that takes a lot of damage, and then also speeds allies up, so that's going to be a nice wipe in favor of Grass Eater here. And wouldn't you know it, at the end of that engagement, one. Ha, got you again. One more time. Sorry, I had to do the name thing one more time. But it does look like Aoud is going to be full wipe there. So that's actually a little bit dangerous for the Skozi. He's got Vicars back at home. He's got Aphoris coming out. So, their splash radius is very nice. And a conduit being put down here. Is he also going to do the Bestiary as well? It looks like he's waiting for the gas or something, and he doesn't quite have it. What does Grass Eater want to do now? Third base now underway. Get that money. See what's up. I don't know. I guess some Hydras are coming out now, so we'll probably see Bactyls because the Hydrathin is halfway complete, halfway morphing into a Skiback. So we are going to see that typical bounce-based mid-range unit for the Zerg. It's sort of the closest thing that can get to artillery at Tier 1 is what I like to call it. We have the Arch complete. We got that landlock coming in for base number 3. These Naths really haven't done much, huh? I wonder if Aoud was previously in any games that they've gone against going Cosmoscope for drops or something, and that's what the Naths are there for, is to park for anti-drop. That could be a plausible explanation. This is feeling like maybe a bad time for Aoud to start coming along further down the way. Yeah, Bactyls just started, and they, all Zerg units take a little bit of time to morph into their advanced morphs. After Acropolis 4, we actually increased the build time of those advanced morphs too. So Grass is in particular maybe going to be punished for building them out here in an area that's not exactly safe. But this big stack of mid-range units for Aoud 64 is going to start descending. He doesn't have his Zoryus in the right position, and he's just abandoning his eggs, but these Bactyls are going to be his linchpin, and he is going to go for the engagement. Bactyls are going to turn around and get some good damage dealt as soon as they get attack move. Big stack of Lake is coming in, but remember those Mimics are going to provide detection. Aoud does end up falling away, so the Mimics in the back of the army mean that that's not really going to work out for him. Oh, and this is a little unfortunate that his rally came in at the same time. He now wants to try to go for the fight. I don't think that's a good move, but the Bactyls are actually getting hosed down by the water stream there from the Lightning Lords of the Skozi. And maybe he's actually been able to do it. Now, he's got more Vorvs coming, a whole buttload of Zeths as well, but is it really going to be quite enough? Yeah, that one Aphoris is dead for sure, so not too big of a deal there. But I suppose in theory, the Zerg has actually gotten themselves into a position where they can deflect this next little bit, right? They've thinned the herd enough. But Ayud wants to push the issue. I'm not so sure he's got what it takes, especially with the Zoryus coming back out now. He is still applying pressure, killing a couple of workers, and most importantly, preventing further explosive worker growths. But yeah, with all this front line here to try to chew through with the Aphorists and the Vicars, at least the Vicars are the only source of unsafe splash here. The Aphorists do deal friendly safe splash. Oh, but the Remax comes out, and yeah, this is another situation where you really wish you had more Bactyls. Now, Thaumatrogs are out. They're a little bit beefier as like a more mainstay frontliner, but for sure right about now, the biggest issue that I think we're going to see for Grass is if he can actually defend this third base. Is this just going to be a slow push to eventually end him? The Hydras are getting cleaved. It's looking a little rough here. I feel like he just didn't quite have the critical mass. Is this going to be the end of his economy for losing this third base? Remember, Ayud has his third well mining. Grandstand's coming up, and 12 o'clock maybe in the sight lines for a fourth base later. We also do have that Cosmoscope we talked about coming online later in the game, which is kind of interesting, because he's seconds away from actually having Tier 3 access. Now, it's not all bleak for the Zerg. I mean, the Olgorg is on the way, and he's adding a lot of additional static defense. You can tell he's worried about a drop, but that's not coming anytime soon. And we do have that landlock at 12 o'clock, so yeah, fourth base on the way. The Nathakor still have not moved from their position. They've wiggled a little bit because they have an idle animation, but they haven't moved from their position. And Ayud is taking a great win in terms of the economics of the game, right? He's really shot ahead in workers, strutting his stuff on his macro department. With the Olgorg on the way, there is an outside chance that Ultra Cores can try to reset the game, and then the Zerg can try to mass expand after it. Let's see what happens, though, as he tries to hold. He's clearly going for a Khaz'trith off of his Kagrin, but he actually ends up queuing up a Circuit instead, so maybe not. The Thaumatrogs are going to have that second life where they get embedded into the ground, and I'm not so sure that they can be broken through. A lot of Bactyls now, though. This is more like it for that Bactyl count. The Hydra's trying to tank as best they can. Not really a focused fight here, though, and with no Zoryus to rend any armor, and now the Hydras and the Bactyls getting splattered by those Aphorist splash damage. Yeah, this looks like way too much for the Zerg to handle. A Hordezet's trying to come in at the same time. He even goes for the Egg Wall. Maybe less limited efficacy against the mid-range units here. And yeah, it does look like that will be a wrap for most of the Zerg army. He's got a couple of Orbs out, but he really, I mean, he's making a bunch of Hydras, but I really don't think he can claw through this. It's just almost a never-ending stream of like a small number of units and then a small number of units, and it's coming at the perfect time for Grass to not be able to ever overwhelm or sit comfortably and get a bigger army, right? He's not able to do either one, so it does feel like right about now we are waiting for the changes to come on through and Ayud to just finish this game off. He's even got the Chantry now, so his units can be cloaked and do a little run-by. Oh, does he have any detection down there? It doesn't look like it. So those units are going to go for the mineral line in the main, and every unit that Grass owns right now is actually being morphed into something else. He's desperately trying to get more done here. He's actually going to wipe this area, it looks like, but his workers are dying. It looks like they might have ignored the Zoryus, and then it went out, so does Grass even know about this, right? He's like, hey, I'm killing him. I have units killing him, and then I'm waiting for his camera to pan back over to his main base, which is just absolutely flattened in the middle of all this. He can finally take his attention off the front line and then look at the fact that he has no income, maybe? Nope, he has no idea. The Doranin are here. He still hasn't panned down to this location. In fact, he might GG before he even looks at it. Oh, the Grass GG timing. Oh, yeah, he did. He didn't even know. Maybe he saw the minimap, though. I mean, I can't know what his... We don't have eye tracking software. I have no idea what he was actually looking at there, but that was really funny. Well, Grass Eater has to say a big rip on that one. Wasn't able to hold back the tide of the Ascozi Warriors. I will say, this game and a couple of other of the matches that I've been seeing lately and just some thoughts I've been having about the Ascozi, it does feel like people are mostly ignoring their frontline options. I've seen some Cardinal usage in team games, but for the most part, it seems like maybe they had like a brief window, or Shopkeeper Dog probably uses them a lot more than Ayud does. But particularly versus Zerg, it seems like they just go for the range ball. So I'm thinking about ways to break that up a little bit, make it a little bit more exciting and interesting. So stay tuned for specifics on that. And if you want to swing by to my dev streams at any point, well, definitely keep an eye out. I do them almost every day. So definitely a good option for you if you're interested in sharing your thoughts to me more directly. I do read the comments, though, so you can also leave one of those. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. GG.